Good morning, everybody. Mike Courtney here. It is a beautiful Wednesday morning, right before a long Memorial Day weekend for most folks. I'm joined by Steve Parisi, President and CEO of IBC Global. Steve, how are you today?
Fantastic, Mike. It is hot, a little humid, but it's nice out today.
Yeah. I'm just happy to see the signs of summer coming, and my kids are wrapping up school, and summer's a little different, I guess, when you're an adult, but for some reason this year I'm feeling, I'm starting to get excited about barbecues and
Yeah.
swimming and, the things that the kids usually look forward to.
Yeah, I'm with you. Spend some time outside from being cooped up all winter. I think that's where everyone's excited to get out.
Yeah. Kind of along those lines, what I wanted to talk to you about today was there's been a lot of talk at our Mass Mutual agency about how we're handling this, like, quote unquote, back to work and back to the office now that we're starting to hopefully come to the tail end of the pandemic and people working from home. And I've got some mixed feelings on that personally, but I know from working so closely with you that number one, you and your team, really did a great job before this anyway, of adopting technology where, face-to-face isn't always necessary, and you guys are marketing all over the country. How did you handle staff, and how do you plan to handle staff and agents going forward with regards to in the office, home base, how you're interfacing with them? Is it going to be different for agents and staff? What are your thoughts on how you're going to navigate that?
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, the first thing that always comes to mind is just safety from a personal standpoint and just consideration of others. So, when COVID came, everyone worked from home, and fortunately, we were equipped for it just with our setup because we work remote all the time anyway. But as things have kind of become what they've become, where they are now, where we see some companies come back full time, some are optional. We've made it optional if people can come back and work in the office. Some people like it, like myself. I don't like to work from home. I like having that home work separation. I'm very productive in the office. When I'm in here, I'm in work mode. I'm going to go a mile a minute. Some people can work from home effectively, but safety first. But as things kind of normalize, how I look at it, because an agent, so a staff member here asked that same question. They say, hey, can we have the remote work permanently? And my hesitancy is, well, if productivity levels go down, then no. Seriously, because that's what happens. It is very, very easy to slack off from home. Some people can do it, but you do not have accountability. If you're a new agent or new staff member, and you don't have the luxury of sitting next to someone and hearing what they say, hearing how they interact with the client, how they deal with that. Yes, we've got training videos of exactly what to see, what to say, what to look for, how to do everything. But that actual hands-on experience, when I can hear if I'm working with you, Mike, what you say to people in that meeting, on that phone call, is extremely valuable. That's how I learned. That's how so many people learned in business and sales and customer service. So that's the thing. When I hear, hey, can we all just work from home? I'm like, you lose that when you work from home. It's way too easy not to do it, and it's uncomfortable. That's why people don't want to do it. But doing it when other people can hear you talk and how you get through a situation, that's really what helps us get to, call it, that next level. And it doesn't exist that much working remote unless you're going to keep your Zoom call or Teams call on all day, but then people hit the mute button and it doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if your role is task related or admin related, and you have some level of experience, then it is feasible that you could work kind of in a bubble in your own space. If you're doing anything that is relationship oriented or growth oriented, sales oriented, you're absolutely right. I mean, unless you're a seasoned professional and, are working autonomously, if you're a part of a team, you have to hear, like you said, it's important to hear what the other folks have to say, how they interact. Tone is very important. I think that gets overlooked a lot these
It,
days.
it does. That's the big, that's just natural. It's common sense. I was listening to Brian
It's
Tracy.
common sense for me, but
Yeah.
I found that it's not common sense.
Well, I was listening to Brian Tracy the other day, and he was talking about common sense. He goes, most people have just huge, enormous amounts of common sense because they never use it. I'm like, that's
They
pretty
haven't
good.
spent any of it.
Yeah, they're not spending any yet. But the thing is, like, I lack a lot of common sense in a lot of areas. I've had to learn how to work that muscle. And okay, when someone says something in a certain way, like their expressions or their tonality, there's ways to read that. But if I didn't have someone or something coaching me, helping me identify that, I would still be lost. So that's where I really like the value there to say, okay, if you have someone there listening, prime example, when we started growing and we brought more people into the office, which you've been to my office. It used to be a garage. We converted it. We've got so many offices. We had more people that could fit in the office, which is a good problem and a bad problem. So what we did, we had my corner office. We put first one guy, then two guys, then three guys sharing that. All the other offices, they were crammed. People were working together. I worked out in the conference room and everybody heard every single phone call I had. Every single meeting I had, doors were open, they could hear it. And at first I hated it because you're like under a microscope, everyone's always listening. But doing that, one, I got comfortable with it, so it did help me personally, but that's not my point. It helped others to know, okay, here's how to deal with these situations. And then they did the same thing. So when we look at our top performing agents here, they were the ones that were there listening to me, listening to each other, had that feedback. And there's something to be said about that. So I'm a big believer in it because I see it work, but it really work at the highest level from a productivity standpoint. That's where I'm a big fan of it, having people with that in-house synergy, particularly agents and in sales. Yeah.
Yeah, the best sales training I ever got was a company called Coventry First that I worked for about 6 years in Fort Washington, Pennsylvania. They're a life settlement company,
Nice.
and when I first started working there, I was working for the CFO because I was still in a finance accounting role. But when I transitioned over to sales, they had great internal systems where I got put onto a team, and there were senior members of the team. And at any point in time, we all sat close to each other. But even outside of just listening, I could dial into their phone calls. So I could pick up my phone and hit a button, and then I'm listening to my, senior regional VP have a, heated discussion or some kind of, communication with an important relationship. And not only can I hear, what he has to say, but I can hear what's going on the other end of the line, and, really kind of be able to absorb the whole conversation without it having to be on speakerphone and things of that nature. And that was really critical, I
Beautiful.
thought, for my development.
Yeah. No, thanks for sharing that. And how I look at it too, and I'm sure you can relate to this with, inexperienced agents who are trying to become an experienced, seasoned producer, is often when a problem comes to me to say, hey, this client's freaking out. They said this thing. Oh, they think it's a scam. And it's like, okay, you're taking this fire situation and just trying to throw it on me because you don't want to handle it. But that's
Like a hot potato.
yeah, that's the internal reaction, and that's negativity. So I shouldn't really phrase it like that. But as far as you don't want to handle it, so you're just dumping it on me, is if the training was there proper to say, okay, that situation occurred. How did it happen? When they first came to you, did you listen? How did you, like the tonality, how did you communicate to them? Did you listen? Did you address their concerns? Or was it just text and email and you cut them off and said, no, it's like this, which is human nature. Everybody does it often without realizing. And that's the kind of stuff. And I really drill into this with training on communication as much as we can virtually, but still, like, unless I'm there, I could dial in, or unless I'm there hearing them, to know, okay, if a situation popped up 9 out of 10 times, it's not a product issue. 9 out of 10 times, it is a communication issue where we didn't listen enough or we improperly communicated. The person got frustrated. They felt like they weren't heard or something was misinterpreted, whatever. And now you've got a problem that someone else has to come in and fix it. That and maybe you can share more because I think you put out fires every single day for a living in your role. So that kind of stuff is like, all right, if you can be trained on how to communicate, which really means listen, sense the tonality, and then address it properly, that's the key. And having that in-house relationship with your agents, customer service, that is what I found has really trained superstars, people with that willingness to learn. They want to get to that next level, and then they have a guide of how to do it, and then they see someone doing it. Just like Aaron Rodgers. He wanted to do everything. He watched Brett Favre for so many years, and then he's an absolute stud from a quarterback position. Like any team would want him. Look at the guy.
Yeah, I mean, I always found with stuff like that, and it only comes with repetition and dealing with those kind of things over and over again. And I've had a couple of, not so much this role, but I've had a couple of roles in the past where I became accustomed to dealing with, just irate lunatics on a regular basis, kind of irrational psychopaths,
Mhm.
And after a while, at the beginning, it was very difficult and there was a lot of angst. And every time there was an issue, it was like, I'm sure that my tone and my reaction didn't always help diffuse it,
Mhm.
when, a lot of times it's best, as you said, tone is so important and staying calm and listening and trying to get to the bottom of what's the problem here and how can we solve it. A lot of times just letting a person vent and then figuring out without panicking, I can resolve this issue. But
Yeah.
that comes with time and experience and not even training, just real experience.
Yeah, that's 100% it. And if you can do that, you'll do extremely well in any role and in any industry. And I guess to kind of loop it up or loop back around is with working remotely, that is challenging and it's very difficult to monitor. Because if someone's talking to someone and they're at their house, like you can't hear or see the conversation, and they come back, well, I told them this and this and this. I'm like, okay, I know you went over the proper bullet points, but something didn't work. And I'd be willing to bet it was either not listening or not hitting on their main objection, which is usually something other than what we think it is, or we just cut them off, did something foolish that rubbed them the wrong way, and now they want to be heard even more. So it's like you just got to listen. That's the thing. But how did it happen? So that's why I'm a fan of having people in house to a degree. If you've got a pro, there are some people at our company that could work from home, and I would trust them 100%. I would have zero issue with them working from home one bit because they can handle themselves. But when you want to duplicate them, that's where, hey, if they're in here, that's helpful, or keep their Zoom call open all day so people can hear them and watch them.
What about working with clients? I mean, how do you attribute how much success you guys have had without a lot of face to face? I mean, most of what you're doing is, regional or national, and even prior to the pandemic, you were accomplishing all this through video conference and meetings and such. And that's just kind of counterintuitive to how the rest of the business has operated forever.
Yeah, definitely. So the question is like, how did we do it? Doing it all remote like that?
Yeah, and what
Yeah,
worked and what didn't work?
yeah, definitely. So I mean, I knew nothing about business when I first got into this and worked for myself. I knew the insurance product and I knew the technical details in and out, how to model it, everything you can and can't do with it. So who I attracted naturally were engineers, data scientists, which in this industry, typically insurance agents and financial advisors don't like
Stay
working
away.
with them. Yeah. They do, because what'll happen is an engineer will dissect the product,
Running
whatever
into
you're
the
going.
ground for a month with questions.
Yeah, to make sure everything's optimized. And I've worked for some people that says, oh, they beat around the bush because that engineer is drilling down with a cash value product. How do I maximize this cash value? And the advisor would view it as, that means how do you minimize my commission? That stuff would happen all the time. And what I would do is just go through, okay, here's exactly how the product works. Here's the limitations that the insurance company has, the IRS has. Here's, companies A, B, and C, products A, B, and C, full transparency. And I would just really work on making that organized so they can go through it systematically. And engineers or a data scientist, a IT professional, they're on computers all day long anyway. They're like, hey, this is great. I'm getting more service and answers here than I would traveling to a meeting. So let's move forward. And that was really how I started. And then transitioning into working with other professionals that said, okay, I'm trying to get more information from people I'm working with, but it's just not there. This is very transparent. So the remote work, like what I made a point to do was to be extremely transparent, sometimes too much. Like you've seen me in the early days, we still do this sometimes, is provide a lot of detail on some things that people just think is ridiculous. Like breaking down PUA Rider fees. You got a gross fee from Mass Mutual, like 7.5% on their ailer, but it nets out to 1.5 in the first year. Like some people are like, dude, don't show me that. Who cares? But an engineer, like
Someone's going to care.
Their mouth's watering, like, tell me about that. Show me. So I'm like, here's how it works. So we will go through that in full detail. And to do that kind of stuff, you could do it in person, but you don't have to. Like they would rather just do it when they have time on their computer. It would be over Zoom calls, go-to meetings, and then learn just to become more innovative with technology as we hired other people to say, okay, we've got the transparency. Now, how do we simplify it for the crowd that doesn't want all that, detail? They just want the bottom line, maximum cash value. And then how do you make it very, very convenient for people to get them information in short video format, detailed video format, phone calls, mailers, whatever it might be, just ultra convenience for that consumer. Like if you do that, you'll win.
And a lot of that kind of stuff, like if I'm your prospective client and I have a very specific question about, a PUA rider, you're probably sending me a video, a pre-recorded video on that topic with follow-up, like, hey, let's discuss any follow-up questions. How extensive is that video library?
Yeah. So
It's got thousands of videos that you've got.
Yeah, it's well north of 1,000. It could be close to 2 between what we have YouTube private and then also on our training platform.
But like in my mind, if you're talking to a client that has some nitty gritty questions, you're leading with, I'm going to send you this video, probably, right?
Yeah. So that's a really good question because I spend a lot of time training agents on that as well. So if you're an engineer and you've got a question on PUA riders, my thing is, okay, what's the specific question? Answer it, especially if you're on the phone. Don't just brush someone off. Let's go through it. Well, here's how the PUA rider works. Deposits to cash value, does purchase you death benefit, paid up additional life insurance. The term PUA, it's paid up, meaning you can add if you want. There is a fee, and you'll see this as we look at the numbers. Here's an example I can send you, and we also have a video that just walks through line by line exactly how that fee is broken down. And it's structured in a way as if you were sitting in our conference room and me going through the whiteboard. You'll see exactly how it works. Can send you that, and then we can certainly talk through questions as well. But you'll find the video will probably answer the questions better than I can over the phone.
Right. Nice.
Yeah, but answer their questions and then provide follow-up info as well. Some people like videos, some people don't. Some just want it on an Excel spreadsheet. So my thing is, make it convenient, show them all the options and do the one they want the most.
Have you had any issues with, remote dealings with clients or not like one-offs, but like, has there been any situations specifically over the last couple of years where it's been so heavy? Well, you're always remote with clients, but has there been things that you've kind of scratched your head and been like, this this really doesn't work. This would be better face to face. Anything like that?
With the no, I mean the only challenge that I've found specifically on remote is some people typically in their 50s or 60s or above don't want to do remote. Either they don't even know about it or they don't use it, or they want that face to face. It's how they were raised. They like the handshake, facial read, like that's what they want. So that's the one challenge where if it's appropriate and we have to meet with the person, we will. When I say appropriate, it has to make sense from a profitability standpoint.
Geographically.
Yeah, granted, I want to help everyone, but it's got to make sense. So that does happen. I think that will always happen.
But you have seen that maybe in like a little bit of an older client, not even the 50s and 60s is older.
It's not old, yeah.
Just different demographic client.
Yeah, and frankly, I think that'll always exist. I mean, you can take Amazon. They don't do that. I think they've got a couple brick and mortar stores now, and they've got products in Best Buy that are branded Amazon and such. But at the same time, they're an online platform, and you can buy clothes. You can buy a watch off of them. I ordered something last night, a pair of Beats, like the AirPods or whatever they are, because my other one's broke. Then I found out this morning they didn't broke.
Well, and there's always stuff like even me, like when I'm ordering stuff online, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but there was something the other day. There's certain things that I want to go to the store and buy.
Touch it. Like a car is a great example.
Not even to try on, not even like, but just like there's something that I want to see with my eyes before I buy it. Yeah.
A car would be a great example. Granted, Tesla's all online, but
I bought my last car online, so that's
an
example for me.
Gotcha. I mean, I the past several cars I haven't test drove. I'm like, all right, that looks good. I'll buy it. But I personally like going to the dealership because I like cars and seeing the different models. Say, oh, I bought this one, but man, look at this one. Oh, I look at that one. I'm a car nerd. I like that kind of stuff.
I can care less. That's why.
Gotcha. And I can't get that feeling online. The car always looks different. It sounds different than the video. Compared to what you see online, you can feel it. Same thing with real estate. There's a good example. You can see it all online, but
you got to go there, see the neighborhood, see what's going on.
A savvy investor is going to go there or have someone else go there to look at it and like, oh, it looks good online and the reviews are good. Like, no. Yeah, I'm going to go check it out or have someone check it out before I send you a check for however much it's going to cost.
Well, you guys have done a great job. I mean, not even just over the last, year or so, but, in general with, constantly evolving with regards to technology and your video database that you have, and how I've seen firsthand how it's one thing to record videos, but to really incorporate it into your everyday work is super important, I think, with what you do. So you guys have really done great there.
Yeah, thanks. And it's always fun. I mean, we're at the stage now, like my goal, what I enjoy doing the most, and I think I have shared this with you, is really the teaching and coaching aspect. Like sales is fun and I love the clients I work with. A lot of them reach out all the time, but I would much, much rather teach someone else to do the same thing even better than I can do it, because a lot of people are much more talented than me naturally. It took me forever because I got a lot of problems. But that is what I like to do. So teaching, if it's the technical insurance aspect, not just going over it quickly, but okay, here's how we actually understand it. But then my favorite parts, here's how to communicate it effectively. Here's just personal development coaching. How do we continue to improve as an individual, build a business? When someone comes into the company that, they were an agent that made $20,000 per year, and then now they're making more than 10 times that just in revenue, like that's the kind of stuff I have fun with. And they're doing the exact same thing that I had done. We've just created a system where we can plug them in and do that. So as we grow, I mean, the insurance business will continue to do its thing, and I'll always be involved in some degree because I love it. But teaching, other agencies and kind of like taking this model we have and saying, hey, anyone can do this. Here's the model, developing a system where we can sell that. That excites me.
Yeah, that's great. That's a good segue to us wrapping up, because at the end of these calls, I always like to talk about, if if you're a licensed agent, insurance professional, and you're looking to talk to somebody that really is best in class and could help you supercharge your business and bring in more business and close more business, I really would recommend reaching out to Steve Parisi and IBC Global. I'm Mike Courtney, Mass Mutual, Eastern Pennsylvania. We work every day with, from soup to nuts, life insurance, disability, long-term care, fixed annuities. I'm your guy. And Steve and I usually talk weekly about a variety of topics. And, Steve, continued success as we, navigate this world of, people floating around between home and the office. You guys have really found a great balance. So all the best. And, I hope that keeps going in that direction.
Yeah, no, thanks, Mike, and likewise, keep doing your thing. I mean, and we can talk about this maybe next time. The business planning, I mean, that's definitely, I've noticed a strength you have as far as telling agents, like when they say, like, what do we do here? How do we set this up? Like, all right, take these steps A, B, and C, and make sure you don't say this.
Try and simplify.
Yeah,
we'll get into that next time.
Yeah, extremely valuable. But no, anybody listening that wants help with business clients, I mean, and don't know what to do, Mike can help with that.
All right, thanks, cool. Steve. Have
Thanks,
a good
Mike.
week.
You as well. Thank you.